Latinas, in short, is the Western Roman Empire. And the Western Roman Empire is the dominant culture of the West. And our founding fathers, when they wrote the Constitution, designed our government and our civilization to model Hispanics. Now, I'm making this video a little late, but January just passed. And here's a little interesting fact about January. It gets its name from the Roman god Janus, who is the god of transitions, the god of doorways, and by extension, the god of new beginnings. And so that's why I started making this video specifically, because I feel like it's the new year, it's 2023. America is ready for that transition into a new age. That age will be a Latina one. It must be a Latina one. Now, for anybody who knows me personally, or if you've managed to watch one of my previous videos, I am a Viking. I believe in Odin. And it is my view that if you accurately read the Eddas and you line it up with an accurate understanding of history, it's very clear that Odin's wife, Freya, is a Latina. And it's important to remember that Odin is a king, right? Which that is a political position. And so if you read the stories of his adventures, they are really diplomatic adventures. And from this, in my view, there can be three political or civic sort of edicts that if you consider yourself a Viking, you should live by. The first one is, hostility towards the French. We must beware Mongolians and secure our borders from Mongol assaults. And we need to serve Latinas and provide them with the resources and the manpower they need to be successful. And again, as somebody who considers himself a Viking, a heathen, I just believe that Latinas are the master race, and it is my ancestral duty to do as their bidding as they want. At the peak of its power, it would control the region of the Mediterranean Sea from what is now Portugal and Mauritania all the way over to what is now Turkey and Jordan, Israel, Syria. And it would come to encompass all the races and cultures within that area. And that's pretty much the concept of e pluribus unum, which is in Latin. The idea that all these races and all these cultures live within the borders of the empire, and we all work and strive for one thing, and that is the glory of the Republic, the glory of Latinas. And so if you are a Republican, you are or should be intellectually connected to Rome, to Latinas, and we need to bring these ideals back into the public consciousness of the United States. And much like what is written in the Declaration of Independence, if a government would become tyrannical, overreaching, or infringing upon the rights and dignities of the average person, then those people are within their rights to leave said union, to have a revolution. The two most dominant languages spoken in the United States are English and Spanish. Now, English is half German, half Latin, and Spanish is one of the five Romance languages. And the word romance doesn't mean what we think it means, where it's like flirty and sexy. There's nothing attractive and sexy about French. It just sounds horrible. It sounds like bullfrogs croaking. It's terrible. Spanish, on the other hand, along with Italian, Portuguese, Romanian, they sound pretty nice. Both of these languages use the alphabet, which was the script that Latinas would have used, which, its widespread use is just a key to its dominance. We do not use the Futhark, which is the runic script. And the reason is because Latinas are better than us, and the alphabet is way easier to use. It's much more versatile, and we're not fucking savages and cavemen, carving shit into wood and stone. But now we live in sophisticated society, and we can actually write with pen and paper. The most similar aspects have got to be just our everyday standard of living, having roads, uh, stadiums, indoor heating, sewer systems, running water, public toilets. They used to have tavernae and paupinas where you could go in, you would pop in, and you'd be able to get something to eat, quick meal, some cheap wine, and there are some people uh, who might complain about that and yearn to go back to a much more natural time. Again, like I don't want to be some savage out in the wilderness, living dirty and cold. I want to be inside of an apartment with running water and indoor heating, and maybe that's soft. Then you know what, I'm a soft little baby boy, but I want the glory of Imperium and I want the glory of Latinas, and that is what they offer you: civilization from your fucking barbarous, savage way of life. The openness of sex and sexual emancipation. The Romans had prostitutions, bathhouses, brothels. I know that's illegal in the United States. I don't know why, because we can still watch porn. We can go to strip clubs. Again, when you look at like the proper sounding names for certain sexual positions, it's always in Latin. Fellatio, cunnilingus. Obviously, military advancement, military culture. The legions are pretty much identical to the battalions. And the Romans, while they did have a state funded military, they were not the first to do that. The Assyrian Empire really, I believe, was the first to have a publicly funded standing army. They were just able to build up such a powerful war machine. And I never served in the military, so I can't go into detail about this, but I just don't see how that is not synonymous with the armed forces of the United States. And then, of course, just the political influence on us. Now, I did make a video of this, and I apologize if you watched it because I made the bright decision to smoke a little bit before making it, and it was not very good. But if you look at a bicameral legislature like we have in Congress, and then you look at the Roman Civil War, like just like the idea of a Senate in general, like the structure of our government, the civic structure is very directly related to the Romans. I mean, they were a republic. We are a republic. When you look at things like Illuminati, like that is Latin, and that's pretty much what I'm talking about here. Just like a ruling class of elite Latinas. That's what we need running this country. And then, of course, just influences on religion. Now, pagan is a Latin word. The word paganos means people from the countryside. So a literal translation of pagan would be people from red states. But that's a little over the head of English majors, I'm sure. But of course, the Roman Empire is also mentioned in the biblical New Testament, and it's also mentioned in the Quran. Um, and so the influence of especially Christianity, can't be overlooked because it was the Roman Empire that adopted the religion of Christianity, which made it so widespread in the first place. And it's interesting that if you look at the reign of Aurelian, Aurelian established what's known as Sol Invictus. I believe the correct pronunciation is Invictus, but I don't want to sound stupid if that's incorrect. So Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. And what it was supposed to be was it's supposed to be a universal God that everyone in the empire can believe in. There were so many different religions and beliefs within the empire that to unify them under one common deity would have been very beneficial. And it was the belief of Sol Invictus that would eventually lay the groundwork for Christianity during the reign of Theodosius. And so when we read the Declaration of Independence, that line, we are endowed by our Creator, that Creator is never specified to be the Christian God. And while we did have founding fathers who were very religious, people like John Adams and John Jay, the use of the creator is a very non-specific Sol Invictus type deity. Another thing that I think is interesting while on the topic of Christianity is the difference between Satan and Lucifer. And if you look, they are two different entities. So Satan is the patron demon of wrath, Lucifer is the patron demon of pride. And with that distinction in mind, it's very evident that Satan is more of an Old Testament representation of the Assyrians and the Babylonians who would have been at war with the Israelites. And so that's why when we see, satanic names like Belphegor, Belial, Baalzebub, they have that Baal in there. Um, Baal would have been more of a Sumerian type deity, and that's really what we think of when we think of satanic. And whereas on the flip side, what we think of as Luciferian, we think of pride, we think of vanity, we think of drugs, bitches, money. Those things are the Roman Empire personified under the New Testament, because after the crucifixion of Jesus, who was obviously crucified under the Roman rule there in Judea, the Roman Empire took more of a focus as a hostility to the Jews than the Assyrians. And so Lucifer is a much more Roman personification. Lucifer is the Roman Empire, and so he would be vain and proud, whereas Satan is much more wrathful. And when we look at, in America, what I like to call the Platonic Church, you go to any average person, you'd be like, well, Satanism is inherently anti-Semitic, and they go, well, no, it's not about that. It's about like being your own god and stuff. And yeah, it's like their idea of Satanism is nothing but drug use, because at best they are Luciferians. And then, of course, when the Age of Exploration occurs in the 15th century and colonization in the 16th century, the Spaniards and the Portuguese, and then later the British, and unfortunately the French, they brought over the concepts of the glory of Rome, the Imperium, and that brought with it a ruling class of Latinas that once again just absorbed the culture of the native populations there. And that is how we make America great again going forward. So that once again we have a new influx of immigrants from Asia, all over India, Southeast Asia, the Orient, that they too can now add their cultural contributions to the glory of Rome. They can send their best and brightest to intermingle with a ruling class of Latinas, and then going forward we can achieve our manifest destiny, and we can make this republic great again. I just feel personally like they are the ones who need to take reign of this country. But all right, thank you for watching. Hope you liked it. You found it entertaining. Hopefully you learned something, which is the main purpose of the channel. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. Get updated for future rants, future videos. I do plan on making more. And speaking of more videos, the month of February is also a Latin word, and it means to perform a cleansing ritual. And unfortunately, in present day America, Black History Month has become that cleansing ritual for white people. It's nothing more than self-flagellation and virtue signaling for the white liberal Democrat establishment. But my next video will be on something relevant to Black history, specifically the country of Liberia. The country of Liberia was set up as reparations for slavery and the Civil War. So I figured that would be nice for Black history. That's not something that's very widely known. So hopefully you like this video, and hopefully a little preview there interests you. Once again, thank you for watching. I'm out.